All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Zelda Randomizer Tips Part 3. Some more stuff after week 2 that I missed. So I figured I would go ahead and make another video. Why not? So this one will be short. There's not too much on here. Some good stuff, I think, though, so we'll get right into it. Very first one, called to give him the slip. What this refers to is with dark nuts and narrow corridors. And I may have gone over this before, but I'll go over it again. In single tile corridors with dark nuts, it may seem impossible, but if you have a sword or a wand, if you are on horizontal plane and they're moving horizontally, you can move up and sword down as they walk through you and use their invisibility frames to actually move past without taking damage. You can do the you can do the same thing on the vertical side. It's just a little bit more difficult. You have to time it a little bit better in order to make the iframes work, but you can use that to navigate through these tight corridors with blue dark nuts or red dark nuts and skip getting damage. Another thing is Ganon spawns and patterns. There's been some rough Ganon fights throughout the week, and sometimes Ganon can just give you a really bad pattern, and there's not a lot that you can do about it. But there are ways that you can try to help fix this. So while he can have different spawn locations throughout the room, if you entered in through a bomb wall, you can exit and run yourself through a couple of rooms that have enemies in them and come back, and you'll probably have a different spawn. The reason why this is because the spawns as you move towards a specific room is what sets up the next one. So if you take the same path to Ganon every single time and you haven't cleared out a room of enemies, it's always going to end up being the same spawn for Ganon. So what you can do also is you can actually clear out a room per se, exit that room, go back in, and then go back into another room, and it will change up the spawn as well. So there are options to help try to get yourself a better spawn. If there's one that's really bad, say you're in a river room and it's just not working out for you, give that a shot. See if you can get a better spawn to help you take out Ganon. Also, there's a really cool video to show you how Ganon moves, made by Fred Coughlin with a Lua script. And I'll go ahead and I'll pop that up now, and we can take a look at it. And this kind of just showcases how Ganon moves. There's a link in the thing as well that you can take a look at. But this just kind of shows how Ganon moves. There's also a ROM available that if you ask in the Discord channel, there's going to be somebody that can give you that. That's basically you can walk into level 3 and it pops Ganon up, and you can basically take a look and practice that way. But this will show you how Ganon moves around in the room. And if you study this enough, you can kind of infer, again, spawn patterns can be off, which can make this difficult. I mean, as you can see, he sticks pretty much one tile away from the wall with this particular pattern, which is the one that happens in the vanilla game when we're doing no open A. There is, however, the probability that you get a spawn where he moves farther to the left, and he'll actually move into the wall. So we see Fred standing here sorting on the left-hand side of the room. That may not always work for you. Again, he can move into the wall sometimes, and he can also move down towards the door. So it's not always safe to do those strategies, and you just kind of have to infer off of what's going on there. So check out that video, study it a little bit, and at least understand how Ganon moves. And once you do, you can start utilizing the middle of the room to start to try to attack him as he comes down or as he moves across the bottom of the room. Shutters shouldn't make you stutter. If a room has a shutter door, it cannot be a staircase. So if you're item hunting, you walk into a room, it's got a shutter door behind you, but it's got an open door somewhere else, or it's got a bomb wall that you can get out of. Don't worry about it. It's not going to have an item staircase anywhere in that case. It cannot have a staircase if it has a shutter door. Stairs with no cares. If there's a stair room, with the exception of the corridor and diamond staircase, there's a drop on the floor, or it has a drop when you cleared it, it will also not be a staircase room. There will not be an item or a transport staircase in that particular room. Again, the exceptions are the corridor and diamond staircase, in which point they will already be on the ground, and since it's already an open stair, you can still utilize that. Suicide Squad. I've seen a lot of people with these tough overworlds kind of bash their head against a tough screen over and over and over and over again and die. If you cannot screen scroll, something that you can do is you can it might take you a little time, but clear out all but one enemy on that screen. A great example, moving up past the screen where level 1 is, or the crossroad screen below the forest fairy. Some of these screens that if you can't screen scroll sometimes can be very difficult to navigate. Try to take out all but one enemy. And then don't clear the screen, because if you clear the screen, they're going to respawn. If you leave just one, that's all that's ever going to be there. So it'll make it much easier to re-navigate those screens later if that's something that you need to be able to do. You and me, baby, we're stuck like glue. Early game, you'll want to make a plan and you want to stick to it. Eventually, you'll need to adapt to what the seed's throwing at you. You'll need to change your plan perhaps, but being indecisive in the early portion of the game will cost you so much time. If your goal is, first of all, I want to go to the northeast, I want to check the Armos caves, I want to do this, I want to do this, do it. Don't do that, and then if you die, choose to, go up to Death Mountain, or if you die one cave into the start screen area, go somewhere else next. Finish out that area, because you want to go to where concentrated open caves are. And yeah, you don't want to backtrack a lot of the time, which can stink, but if you need to get a sword to get things done, you want to prioritize the heavy clusters of caves. And so don't get flustered if you've got a bad overworld, if things start going wrong. Just stick to your game plan and execute it in the early game, and you'll be all right. And eventually you'll have to adjust as the seed throws things at you, but just pick something and stick to it. And fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. This will be the last one I've got, but I talked about before about skipping harder rooms and dungeons in order to try to find things that you need. Well, the one thing that you need to pay attention to when you're doing that is you need to remember which ones that you've skipped. Because if you've gone on your map and you've entered a room, walked out of it, and you do that to a lot of rooms, sometimes they can start to blend together, especially if you've done it in multiple dungeons and had to leave or whatnot. And you can forget what you need to clear to try to find something. So only skip as many as you're comfortable remembering. Otherwise, you can end up taking longer to get done what you need to do. Again, it is wise to skip some harder rooms, but if you've got a gigantic level 8 or a gigantic level 6 and you've had to leave multiple times and you've left 4 or 5 rooms intermittently throughout the dungeon, sometimes it's hard to remember what those are. So if you're getting to the point where you can't remember what you skipped, it's probably a better plan at that point to actually take the time to clear them out and see what you can find. That's all I got for this time. We'll see if I have anything for next week. If not, we'll move into the bracket flag information whenever we get there. Be sure to join the Zelda Discord. I'll throw a link up in the video description. But thank you all for hanging out. Hopefully this has been at least a little bit of help. I'll try to get all these videos information conglomerated into one area so that if somebody wants to go through and read it, they don't have to go through a bunch of videos. But thank you all so much for checking this out, and we'll see you later.